Kyiv Post visited the training camp of the International Legion under Ukraine's main Directorate of Intelligence, ГУР. It's a special unit created after Russia's full-scale 2022 invasion, consisting of foreign volunteers who've joined Ukraine's fight against Russian aggression. The Legion is subordinate to ГУР, allowing it to participate in crucial reconnaissance and special operations. ГУR's Legion's fighters come from around the world, including, among others, the US, the UK, Canada, Poland, Georgia, and the Baltic countries. In the camp, which Kyiv Post was granted exclusive access to, fighters who have been in combat return here, usually for about a month, to train with instructors, train for combat, share experiences, recharge, and enhance team building and morale within the special unit. Practicing shooting with machine guns and grenade launchers in the camp is an essential part of soldier training. By honing these skills in the camp, fighters improve their accuracy, which is critical in combat, where each shot can determine the outcome of an engagement. An important aspect is not just the shooting, but also the proper handling of the weapons, cleaning, loading, and troubleshooting potential malfunctions. Camps often simulate real combat situations, ensuring that fighters are prepared for unpredictable circumstances on the battlefield. Combat teams of the International Legion of ГУР are practicing the evacuation of a wounded soldier from the battlefield.
You're gonna leave, man.
A fighter applies a medical tourniquet above the wound and securely fastens it. Although the training camp has a friendly atmosphere with jokes and mutual support, the evacuation drills are carried out smoothly and precisely, just like in real combat situations. Practicing evacuation trains the unit to act quickly and efficiently, which is crucial for effective combat.
Okay, going. Driver, drive on.
Fast and coordinated evacuation ensures that crucial medical aid is provided in time.
My name is Ейден Аслин. My call sign is Kozak. I'm from the United Kingdom and I've been in Ukraine now since 2018. Previously I served with the Ukrainian Marines in the 36th Marine Brigade and eventually I was involved in the defence of Marіуполь and then taken into captivity where I spent 5 months in Donetsk in the city centre. Thankfully I was released 5 months later and since then I've done a lot of volunteer work and humanitarian work and public speaking to try and continue to help Ukraine even after captivity. And just about 5 months ago I rejoined the military under the International Legion in ГУР. So now I'm working as a driver and also helping with public relations and helping fundraise for vital kit that the guys need. I had been following the conflict here since 2014. I came to the conclusion that Russia is the aggressor in this situation and you only need to look in past history with Russia such as Chechnya, Moldova and all the other countries that it has been involved with. So for me it's a very strong cause to come to Ukraine and support the Ukrainians because back then in 2018 a lot of people didn't even know there was a war going on in Europe. I would say after 6 years living in Ukraine, even though I'm not Ukrainian by blood, I'd probably say I'm Ukrainian by heart because now Ukraine's my home and especially after everything that I've experienced and seen, I want to learn Ukrainian and I feel the need to learn Ukrainian just out of spite of the Russians because when I was in captivity, the Russians would force you to speak Russian. Everything that people read online with the UN reports is probably what they would expect to be treated like. Initially when I got captured, I was taken from Marіуполь to Sartanar and then from there I was split up from the rest of the guys who I surrendered with, then taken to Donetsk where I was immediately stabbed and then beaten for 3 or 4 hours. And throughout the next 5 months, a lot of like mental torment, such as like saying we're going to like take you to be executed. I think one of the biggest like psychological like tolls on my health at the time was being forced to do like propaganda that I didn't want to do. So they would bring like the Russian like FSB like propagandists, and I eventually, after 4 months of doing that non-stop, it took its like toll like really negatively on me, especially after we were sentenced to death in the Donetsk People's Republic's like proxy courtroom. And I think it was probably the first week of September when I had found a razor in my cell, and I was contemplating at night just to slit my wrists because I was tired of doing the propaganda, and I didn't want to like continue living this life that was just basically me lying on camera against things that I believe and like love. Just before we surrendered, we'd been in Mariupol for like a month, like roughly a month and a half nearly. And I would say Mariupol in itself was also like a bad experience just because of the relentless like artillery, the airstrikes and everything else that happened there. Like by the end, just before we surrendered, like we had no ammunition, like we had no food. The worst experience in my life was probably that moment where I'm surrendering to the Russians, because I know exactly what I'm walking into to a degree, and it's like a feeling that I don't want to ever see again, because I remember the fear and everything else that was with it was like nothing that I've been able to like replicate ever since. What the difference is between a Ukrainian and a Russian serviceman, because the Russian serviceman is sadistic, whereas the Ukrainian serviceman will like they actually care about the treatment of like POWs and people that do mistreat. They will be punished, whereas on the Russian side that is non-existent. So I think for me personally, I'd dream to see this like invasion finish one day and Russian forces be kicked out of Ukraine. The majority of my old unit, my battalion, the Marines, they're still in captivity. And knowing what the Russians do to them as they did to me, that was like a big motivator for me to rejoin service.
Hello everyone, my name is Danny. That's my call sign.
Скільки вам років?
I'm 24 years old.
Звідки ви?
From Sweden. So everything started with that I saw that the war in Ukraine started. So I decided to get here and help the Ukrainians, help the society, and fight for the Europe. Yeah, I had the military experience from the before. So for now, the war is completely different from what it was from the beginning, with FPV drones and jammers and a lot of new technical stuff. So for now, it's much more harder to fight than what it was before, like with the artillery shells and that. Now the like artillery have been replaced by the FPV that is flying much more behind the lines. They can track you, they can like find you, so it's pretty hard for now. The Russians now, they learned a lot of stuff, so it's completely different from what it was from the beginning when like with the Mobics. And they're pretty strong now. They know a lot. I can understand like how the Europe thing, because like if something is going on for a long time, then people start to forget about it. So it's important to keep it in mind that war is still going in Ukraine, and remind it to the Europe. I saw the application form on the internet and joined up. That's the best job I ever had.
Мій позивний Горіх, мені 26. Найкраще місце на землі. Все дуже просто. Дають можливість готуватись, дають можливість навчатись, різноманітність підготовки, починаючи від їздити на всьому, що їздить, ходити на воді, на всьому, що ходить по воді і тому подібні речі. Стріляти від всього, що стріляє. Озброєння прекрасне, озброєння новітнє. Не знаю, тут оцінку як в школі не поставиш, але все дуже добре. Можливо, одна з таких найбільш переломних ситуацій в житті – це був час VR, тому що там ми як ніколи зустрілися з величезною кількістю FPV-дронів зі сторони противника. І воно якось так найбільше запам'яталося, оскільки не давало можливості навіть нормально пересуватись. І вдень, і вночі. Тому ця ситуація так просто поміняла моє бачення до війни сучасної. Ну, по-перше, людей усвідомлюють, навчають, як пробувати уникнути їх, ховатись від них, як маскуватись. Портативні реби, помпові рушниці. Використовувались всі можливі засоби, які можуть використовуватися. Скоріше за все, буду продовжувати службу за контрактом в армії. Якщо ти до того звикаєш, в тебе починається якась така... Її легше назвати адреналіновою залежністю і не описувати всі відчуття, які ти просто хочеш постійно поновлювати і поновлювати. Кожен вибирає свій шлях. Є люди, які просто кайфують від своєї роботи, так само тут. Це кайф від роботи.
Мій позивний Ліра. Прокинувся одного ранку і мені сказали, що я тепер в Міжнародному легіоні. Насправді мене та мій екіпаж запросили разом долучитися до медичної служби. І, власне, так ми опинилися в Міжнародному легіоні. Напевно, найбільше запам'ятовуються міста, і особливо, коли ці міста знищуються. Тобто, коли ти приїжджаєш на ротацію в одні ті ж самі міста, і з кожною ротацією їх стає все менше, фізично менше, і в один момент ти не можеш повернутися до цього міста, бо воно вже окуповане. Збройним силам України не вистачає лікарів, людей з медичною освітою. Тому, якщо ви лікар або маєте медичну освіту, долучайтеся до Міжнародного легіону. Заповнити заявку на сайті. Рівень надання домедичної та медичної допомоги зростає і продовжує розвиватися, адаптуватися і ставати краще. Доводилось, попри, не знаю, всі небезпечні обставини або, скоріше, всупереч, проводити евакуації, надавати домедичну допомогу. У нас є поранений орієнтовно в цій точці, і ти їдеш в повну невідомість, не знаючи, чи ти взагалі зможеш забрати цього пораненого під артилерійським вогнем, чи під можливістю бути заптуреним чи розбитим FPV. Ось. І, власне, ти попри всі ці небезпеки виїжджаєш і, в моєму випадку ці евакуації були вдалими.
Tell us your motivation and why are you here in Ukraine?
I'm in Ukraine because I want to support the Ukrainian people in their fight for their freedom and their identity. I think it's especially important for other Europeans to support Ukrainians in this struggle because the fight that they're fighting is not only a fight for their country. I think the fighting in Ukraine is very intensive. There is no war after World War II in Europe that is comparable to it. We have many different new weapon systems.
Did you have any war experience before Ukraine or not?
No, I had no military experience and also no combat experience.
Okay. What are your future plans? Do you want to return home or just live in Ukraine?
It's quite hard to plan, obviously, because it's very hard to tell what the future brings. but I personally very much like Ukraine, and if there is an opportunity, I think there's a big chance I will stay.
What do you remember the most about this war?
I remember most the first weeks in March 2022 when I first arrived here, an experience that will shape my life in a significant way. And it was also a time where I first really saw Ukraine and found some fascination with it. I think imperialism of the Russian Federation is nothing new. We have seen it already in centuries before. Many European nations have suffered this and have experienced it already. But we should also not forget that there are many Russians who do not support the current regime, who also fight on our side, and who shows that you can be Russian and be on the right side. And I think in some way, if you are Russian and you want to fight for your people, you should be on the side of Ukraine.
Okay, слава Україні.
Героям слава!
Thank you.